Hey Synthwavers! In this sound design tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a Mellow pad using the synth TAL U NO LX. Let's do this. Because this is a pad, our patch will have a slow or soft attack and medium or long sustain. Also, we will be using the filter to get rid of most of the high frequencies. To start, we'll fire up the default patch in TAL U NO LX. Great. Let's start tweaking. First thing I'll do is deactivate the sub because we're not going to use it. Then I'm going to increase the polyphony up to 12. I'm going to bring the level down just a little bit. This patch uses mainly a sawtooth oscillator, so in its default state, we're going to leave it like this. Then let's head over to the ADSR section. And like I mentioned, this is a pad and we want it to have a slow or soft attack and a long release. So we'll bring all the sliders to about halfway. And we'll tweak from here. Cool. Also, here in the VCA section, we have to push the slider up to envelope. Great. I'll give it a little bit more of release. And some of these parameters we'll have to tweak again once we do some other changes. And in anything synthesis and sound design related, I typically don't look at the values because most of the times they are arbitrary. For example, here, the release here on the screen says 5.77 watt. Are those seconds? Who knows? It varies from synth to synth. So I'm just gonna go by what my ears are telling me. Back to our patch. I'm going to increase the release a little bit. Okay, great. Now let's head over to the filter section and I'm gonna bring the slider to about 25% the way up. And we're not gonna be able to hear anything. Right, because we have to give the patch a little bit of envelope modulation. So I'm gonna push the slider up to about halfway. Okay. Now you hear that we have a little bit of a swell here. Whoa, whoa. I don't want that. I want it to be smoother. So I'm going to increase the decay until that whomp goes away. Okay. Great. Nothing to write home about for the moment. Now let's engage the miracle worker, aka the chorus. Our patch went from lackluster and okay to, oh man, this is really cool. Awesome. I want the filter to have just a little bit less of high end poking through, so I'm going to bring down the envelope amount just a little bit. So right here it's very mellow, a little dark and muffled. Over here, there's too much brightness coming through, so possibly here. Yeah, it sounds pretty cool. Next thing I want to do is give the oscillator a little bit of modulation via the LFO. So the way to accomplish this is I'm going to push up this LFO slider all the way up, and of course it's going to be too extreme, but I just want to hear the effect of the LFO. Then here in the LFO section, I'm going to push up the slider to free because I don't want to sync it with the tempo of my track. And here I can control the speed or the rate. I think somewhere here sounds good. I don't want it to be too wobbly and crazy. Like I said, I don't look at the values. I just listen and try to get it to a point where I like it. Okay, right there, it's cool. Now I'm gonna bring the LFO amount or modulation slider all the way down. Now I'm gonna increase it just a little bit to the point where I can hear it and it's not overwhelming. For example, here, yeah, it's obviously overwhelming, but right there, it's too much. Okay. Right there, it's cool. So it's a very subtle difference, but we can hear it. Great. Next up, we're gonna add some delay and reverb because, of course, we can't have a synthwave patch, especially a pad, without delay and reverb, right? So let's bring the wet dry knob to around this point here. I'm gonna increase the time. Of course, if this were a track in your DAW, you would engage the sync button to have it, the delays sync up with the tempo of your track. In this case, I'm not gonna do that because I'm just designing this free or this standalone patch. Right there, it's cool. Gonna increase the spread, the tone a little bit, and the feedback. Definitely, we are getting there. Finally, let's add some reverb. I'm gonna bring this almost halfway up, increase the size a little bit, increase the delay, and the tone. And this is what we have now. Lovely, very mellow and warm. Really, really cool. Wow. One more thing that I want to show you is that instead of using a sawtooth as the base of our patch, we could use a pulse width wave or a square wave. So here, let's deactivate the sawtooth, activate the pulse width. Immediately, this will give us a very glassy sound. But let me show you something. Let's set this control or slider to LFO. So we're going to have the pulse width of our pulse wave be controlled via the LFO. So this is the amount slider. Now this is a great sound. It has a distinctly different character than the sawtooth. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. Let's compare both. Sawtooth version. Very cool. Now the pulse width version. Very, very nice. Wow, I really couldn't just pick one. I've saved the 2 patches we created today into a presets folder. It's free to download and just follow the link in the description. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.